Okay, I'm going to read this proclamation. City of Cleveland Proclamation, whereas in 1775, the Continental Congress asked the colonies to join in prayer, seeking wisdom as they face the responsibility and opportunity of building a new nation. 3 decades later, President John Adams declared a day of solemn humiliation, fasting, and prayer, asking citizens of all faith to pray for America's protection from danger. And whereas in 1952, President Harry Truman signed the joint resolution of the U.S. Congress establishing a floating annual Nation Day of Prayer. And whereas in 1988, President Ronald Reagan set the date of annual prayer as the first Thursday of May. And whereas throughout history, Americans have turned to prayer and reflection during times of strength and weaknesses, in moments of joy and despair, seeking comfort, giving thanks, and asking for guidance and grace, and today continue in the tradition of our forefathers by acknowledging the power of prayer in our lives and cherishing our right to pray freely. And whereas we are asked again to join in prayer on Thursday, May 1st, 2025, of the 74th Annual National Day of Prayer as our nation comes together. Let us all pray for unity, righteousness, for this great state, nation, and all mankind. Therefore, I, Mayor Danny Lee, Mayor of the City of Cleveland, Texas, join other cities by claiming May 1st, 2025 as National Day of Prayer. In witness whereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the official seal of the City of Cleveland, Texas, to be affixed. Okay, Chaplain, I want to present this to you, Chaplain. Our one and only Chaplain Lance Blackwell.
Thank you.
I just want to present this to you. And Chaplain, thank you for all that you do for us.
Thank you.
We appreciate them daily prayers that you give us.
It's a blessing.
Yes, sir.
It's a blessing.
Thank you. City of Cleveland Proclamation, whereas emergencies can occur at any time requiring police, fire, and emergency medical services, and whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response to police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property, and whereas the safety of our police officers and firefighters depends upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephone the Cleveland Police Fire Communications Center, and whereas public safety dispatchers are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services, and whereas public safety dispatchers are the single vital link for our police officers and firefighters, monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information and ensuring their safety, and whereas public safety dispatchers of the Cleveland Police Department have contributed substantially to the public safety mission, apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients, and whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of his or her job in this past year. Therefore, be it resolved, I, Danny Lee, Mayor of the City of Cleveland, Texas, proclaim April 14th through 20th National Public Safety Telecommunications Week in Cleveland, Texas, in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep our citizens safe. In witness whereof, I hereunder set my hand and cause the official seal of the City of Cleveland, Texas, to be affixed. Do I have some? I think I got a couple of dispatchers out there. Oh, we got the chief here. Okay, I'm gonna let you present those, chief.
Yes, sir. These are two of our dispatchers that are well trained, and the state of Texas and legislation has also made it known that dispatchers are now considered first responders. responders, and that is really great. They're a part of the first responders.
Thank you,
Mayor,
dispatchers.
Council, for that presentation, and y'all can take it and place it in the office for the
Okay.
other ladies to see as well.
All right.
The people behind the console now.
All right, thank you, dispatchers. Okay, last but not least. Oh, okay. Okay. Miss Yvonne Lamont Hancock, would you please come forward? Okay, Ms. Hancock, the city of Cleveland, this certificate is awarded to Yvonne Lamont Hancock in recognition of her outstanding performance, hard work, and dedication to the city of Cleveland. March 2025, Employee of the Month, dated this day, the 15th of April, 2025. Ms. Hancock, I just want to personally thank you. You know, you came to work here probably a year ago, or almost a year ago, and from day one, you stepped in and you made yourself at home. Every time I see you, you always happy. You always greet all the customers with a smile. And we just appreciate the positive energy that you bring to City Hall. And we just want to stay with us, okay? We ain't going to let you go nowhere. Just keep doing what you're doing. Thank you again, Ms. Hancock. Okay, is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Okay. Okay, we have all that out of the way. Public comments. Any person with city-related business may speak to council. In compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, the city council may not discuss or vote on any matter raised in public comments unless it's specifically on the agenda. To speak during a council meeting, you must be recognized by the presiding officer. Ms. Juanita, do we have anybody?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, so we have no one signed up to speak tonight. Okay, going once, going twice. Okay. Now we'll go to reports from members of council regarding attendance of boards, commissions, social functions, conventions, workshops, ceremonial events, press conferences, or public business incidental to an event. I'm going to start on my end. Ms. Rachel Hall.
All right, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say thank you. Over the weekend, we had several events happening around the city, put on by, of course, the city with the Bunny Blast, but also churches and school groups and students and nonprofit organizations. But a lot of people put in a lot of effort to have things that were family-friendly and events to take our families to. So I just wanted to say thank you to all those who volunteered, time, effort, materials, whatever it was, because it seemed like a great weekend here in Cleveland.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Hall. Ms. David?
I just want to say thank you, for Friday, because Friday was amazing, to Miss Angela from putting the books together, the decoration, the food, the usage of the Civic Center. Everything was amazing. The to-go bags, the tour around the city, everything was good. And shout out to Miss Broussard Carter for the Bunny Blast on Saturday, too. But thank you to all the department heads for Friday as well.
Okay. Mr. Mac Waters.
Yes, I want to echo what Ms. David said, and just thank you very much for those, Angela, everybody that put that on Friday. And I just want to thank all the department heads' involvement, engagement, feedback. I really appreciate y'all being a part of Friday and being really engaged in that process. And just thank you to all our departments overall in the city. You know, I mean, lots happening around town, and y'all do a very good job of keeping everything going.
Okay, Mr. Ward?
I just want to echo on what everybody's already said, but thank y'all so much, the staff of Cleveland. Y'all are just awesome, each one of you. Like I told you Friday, y'all are all my family, and I mean that from my heart. Not just saying it for words, I mean it from my heart. Y'all are all my family. And don't think I'm doing something different, but Jackie, girl, that food was good. Thank you so much for breakfast and lunch. Angela, thank you for making her cook for us. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And the desserts, man, y'all didn't get no pound cake. It's y'all fault. You know, it's on y'all. Don't ask for none unless you go through me first, okay? Then you might get one. But thank y'all staff so much for everything you done. And council, thank y'all for all being here. And everybody else, just thank y'all, and everything was great. And to our workers, first responders, and everyone, thank y'all for everything that y'all do, because y'all are still awesome, doing a great job. And everybody else in their department, thank y'all for keeping Cleveland beautiful. Thank you.
Okay. Well, Brent, Roscoe, I think everybody kind of touched on everything. Julius, but oh,
It's all right, Mary, you don't want me to talk today.
go ahead, Julius. I'm getting ahead of myself. Go ahead.
Roscoe talked too much, is what it was.
Yeah, Roscoe preached though, man. It was a good sermon though.
I just want to echo what everybody else has said. Thank you, staff, for Friday. Council, thank you all for being there. I know it was a long day for all of us. Food was great, decorations, everything looked great. We had I think we did very well with how it went on Friday. And then also I attended Bunny Blast this Saturday. My two daughters loved it, so it was fun trying to get the eggs out of their hands. And I attended the Parks and Rec Board meeting yesterday also, and we're looking at doing Samuel Wiley Park, getting a new playground structure over there with benches also, and then Emilio touched base on the Stansel Park, getting it, what was it, the RFP or RFQ for it. So it was a good meeting we had.
Okay, is that it? Well, which the staff, you know, everybody knows, you know, what I think, how I feel, so I'm not gonna go there. But you guys know me well now. But no, I just, you know, Saturday, I guess last week I had so much going on. Saturday I was basically out of gas. My needle was behind empty, and I didn't get a chance to attend the Bunny Blast, but I noticed that we had the Bunny Blast, and we had several church events at different churches and parks, and you know, with the social media, I seen the pictures of so many young people, you know, so many kids, so many parents, just seeing that community pride in our city, it's a good feeling. I just feel that in our city now. I just feel a sense of pride that, you know, it's growing. And let's just make it contagious, and let's continue to make it contagious. But I felt good when I saw one of the pictures. I seen Chief Broussard and Chief Sean. So I said, well, okay, they got me covered. So, but I just really, maybe next year, you know, time will permit me to attend those. Okay, so I'm gonna turn it over to Miss Pam Harrison.
Good evening. Good evening. Just a couple of announcements. We have, they just announced the National Day of Prayer coming May 1st, Thursday at 12 noon at the Civic Center, 12 to 1 p.m. We also have Clean Up Cleveland next Saturday, April 26th from 9 a.m. to 12 at Stansel Park. And then also the city staff will be participating in Career Day at the Northside Elementary. And this year, HR was able to get all of the departments to have at least one employee there throughout the day to represent each department. So we are looking forward to that. And then also, I just want to say thank you to all of the department heads and staff. It's been a long road, but I appreciate all y'all's support and hard work to keep things going and making this the transition as easy as possible. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Harrison. Okay, now we'll move along to the consent agenda. Okay, Ms. Harrison, did you have a omission on one of those? Would that be item number 8?
Yes, item 8 will be tabled until next month.
Okay,
Do we need to make a motion for that, Tommy, or?
You could make a motion approving items 9 through 11, and then 8 will be brought back.
I did have one question on 11. Ashley could probably answer it real fast. And that's the payments coming from Frontier, correct? Correct. Okay. Okay, thank you. I make a motion, we approve consent agenda items 9 through 11.
Second.
okay, I have a motion by Mr. Buckley, a second by Mr. McWaters. All those in favor? Okay, motion carries 5-0. Okay, do we have to make that motion to table 8?
No, it's.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
Action, no action, it'll be brought back.
Great, okay. Okay, now we'll move on to our regular agenda. Item number 12, that will be Amoresco update.
I will be providing this, Roger's out of town. So, on the Amoresco update, we just wanted to let everyone know that, Amoresco is pretty much complete on what they're doing for the change out for the city. They have 1 meter left that's on back order, and they're expecting it to be delivered around June. So, they'll finish that one. The city staff, prior to Amoresco coming on board, they were doing the change out and, installing the radios themselves, and they have about 150 accounts that either are not communicating or they need some corrections made in the system. And Robert is estimating to have that completed by end of May. So we're also working with Census, that's who the software, the AMI software is through. And they're hoping to have the customer portal up and running by before the end of April. So once that's up and going, we'll send out, we'll post online and put in mail outs, and just to get that information out to the customers so where they'll be able to view their daily consumption and usage. But I also wanted to just thank the citizens and the council and staff for being patient with us through this transition. We have hit several bumps in the road, but we can already see the benefit of having this software. We've had a lot of questions come up on consumption, and just using that census portal, we can tell the customers exactly when they used the water, what the temperature was, when they were using it, because a lot of them run it during the freeze, and they dispute their bill, and we can say, hey, it was 20 degrees, did you run your water? And they're like, yeah, okay, I did. And, it just answers a lot of questions. And once the customers have access to that portal, that'll be less, fewer times that they'll contact staff to get clarity on what's going on. So we'll be giving more information on the portal. So we're pretty much up and running with that. And like I said, just appreciate y'all's patience with getting everything going and making it through the growing pains on that.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Harrison, for those updates. Okay, item number 13, code enforcement update. Eric. Okay, come on, Eric. Eric, is this your first time?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, it's my first time.
You introduce yourself to us, to council?
Council, my name is Eric Lindo. I'm your Development Services Coordinator and also Code Enforcement Officer. So, thanks for, just giving me a chance here. We got to, keep Cleveland clean, so we got a long road ahead of us. Being around town, like I've been the past 21 days or so, there's some things that we have to address here, to keep this place looking nice and clean. So some of the common violations specific violations. And they don't need to necessarily know, just if it doesn't look right, then it's probably wrong, right? So it's pretty easy. So that we're trying to address setting up hot zones for the city to address those areas first. We have, our GIS is slowly beginning to be developed, and once we get that tool in our hand, we'll definitely have a more user-friendly capability of showing like where all the hot spots are here in the city. So, but for code enforcement, what we've done, we've facilitated with other coordinators. So like our code enforcement third party, TCG, had meetings with them to know how they operate so we can adopt what they're using. So it'll be clear and cut between both us and a third party. We also spoke with the municipal judge and prosecutor on the way forward to figure out or make sure we get our processes for citations. It's been a little bit of time since we have somebody enforce some code, and so we're just trying to make sure we knock the dust off our processes to make sure it's right. We've also, at that same meeting, we talked about administrative search warrants, and that's just, whenever we have probable cause of a substandard property, that we make sure we go in there and, yeah, we can see it from the right of way, but we got to get in there to make sure make sure nobody's living in there first off, and then secondly is just make sure it's whenever the owner comes into the property and says, oh no, it's structurally sound, they're like, no, we went in there and did a search, and you're missing your rafters here, so it's going to collapse anytime now. So we can know whenever city council wants to go to substandard, we can let them know that this is what it is. So one of my biggest pet peeves as a code enforcement officer is bandit signs. I've been doing a pretty assault on bandit signs. You'll see some around here for Sanctuary Church. They have a permit for those. So those are okay. The rest you see around, they don't have permits for. And we're slowly picking those up. Hopefully soon in the future, we'll have no bandit signs in the city of Cleveland, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Some of the routine stuff that we had, I don't know if you heard about Kirbywood Apartments. Car crashed into some of those apartments there. Luckily, the structural engineer said there was nothing wrong with that structure, so they had gotten a permit and they're fixing it as we speak. I should have got something back by today, but I didn't hear back from the property owners. So since I've been here, I started with 16 cases so far, just picking up just what I can, because not only code enforcement, it's not my only thing. I do some of the stuff for permitting and building review. So all the 16 cases that I picked up, I have abated 6 of them. So it's a good start, just trying to get somebody out there and enforcing some of these standards. Most people are willing to, comply, and I like to think myself as a compliance officer, not a code officer. I really want to give people the time to fix what they have, and because some of these people have done it, they've been in violation for many years. So it's not gonna, I can't just be like, hey, I need you to clean that next week. It's not gonna happen, right? Especially for the accumulation of debris or whatever they have, we just gotta give them some time. So if you see something that you don't think that our department is doing as fast as, please let us know, because there's probably a good chance we've already been talking with the owners and they're trying their best to get it cleaned up. Some good news for the substandard structures. We had 2 in pretty close time frame that they've been demolished. So which is good for us, right? And they've been voluntary demolitions. So those are good. The recent one that I've received was 301 Birch. This morning, I put the final notice that TCG does for us. We're waiting for the owners to reach out to us, and hopefully they'll, looking for them to voluntarily demo that structure. This is the second fire that's happened at that property, and there's a lot of vagrants that come through there, so that's what happened. Somebody was trying to cook something, and it got out of hand and caught fire, so. But that's pretty much all the updates right now. Is there any questions from council?
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you just quickly expand on, I saw it on a slide, the RV, or what is the concern with the RV, or what are the ordinances, or what should our residents know about RVs?
So the big thing with RVs is they're not considered a dwelling, right? Some people are using it as a secondary dwelling, which is in our code is a violation, right? So that's what we're looking mostly. So it's, whenever we're doing the investigation, it's pretty evident when you see like the sanitary trap coming out of there and then also utilities hooked up to it, right? That's almost a telltale sign. But it's not always the case, because our ordinance does state that in an emergency situation, they could use that as a dwelling, but for a temporary, for temporary time. So we're just looking at those things as far as the RV itself. So that's what we have there, up there on the slide, so.
Okay, and so an individual who might come in and buy an older home in one of our older communities and has an RV on site to live in the RV and rehab the home, that is something that they would not be able to do?
Correct. You won't be able to do that.
Okay.
Not with how our ordinance is written right now. Our ordinance was adopted in 2018, so, if we have enough, concerned or want to change the ordinance, whatever we vote on it, that's what I will enforce. Like, I'm not gonna make up anything, so, whatever is the council wants to approve, I'm willing to enforce that.
Okay, thank you.
I'll add some color to that. The ordinance does say that the building official can grant a permit for temporary occupation of an RV. That's just a slippery slope that I don't think that we want to go down, because it becomes an unenforceable kind of issue or enforcement issue. So there's some language in the ordinance to that end, but primarily it's addressing temporary housing for emergencies.
And I'm sorry, can I ask one more question on the RVs? Is our RV station over by the Buzzy Bee Center, that is city limits, correct? Those who are currently renting?
There's RVs and RV parks. That's a whole different kind of regulatory issue.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, Eric, look, man, I just want to welcome you to Cleveland, and you got a lot of work to do. So just consider that job security.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to, to see Cleveland, grow and, with the vision of Emilio and what he wants to do with the department. I want to help as much as I can to see his vision and, and council's vision come to
Eric,
life.
The vibe that I get from the taxpayers, we want to see Cleveland cleaned up. We're trying to clean up Cleveland. I think in the last year and a half, we made some great strides on that. So just continue doing what you're doing.
Yes, sir.
You're
Yeah,
doing a good
without
job.
the citizens of Cleveland, I wouldn't have a job. So
Yeah.
it's, ultimately for them to it's in their benefit. So,
Yeah.
thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Okay, thank you.
Mayor, I just wanted to add some color. Y'all kind of beat me to the punch. I was printing out some notes. Y'all got that through that consent agenda pretty fast, but I just wanted to introduce Eric. He already did that himself, but I just wanted to add some more background and color. Eric is a licensed code enforcement officer through the Department of License and Regulation for the state of Texas. So hadn't had one of those on staff in a while. We do have the relationship with TCG to do third-party code enforcement, but just having that expertise in-house I think it's going to be a huge benefit to the city and certainly our department. So Eric comes to us from the city of Baytown, where he has a few years as a code enforcement officer there, and before that had experience as a contractor, building contractor, following his service in the United States Army, about 21 years or so. So we thank him for his service to our nation and also to his service for the city of Cleveland, and we appreciate y'all's support. So thank you.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna move along to item number 14. Street closure application for the first annual Cleveland Municipal Airport 10K takeoff. That means Miss Erin Gordon.
All right. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
This event initially started off as Airport Takeoff 10K. We soon realized we had to pivot. We got some pushback from Texas DOT regarding the 787 road closure and so forth. They gave us a few options to do a partial road closure. I just couldn't see mothers and children running next to 18-wheelers, you know, and oncoming traffic. So we pivoted, and now we have our Memorial Day first annual Wing and a Prayer event. So this event eliminates Texas DOT altogether. It allows us to use our own property on the airport property, and we are basically going to shut down the runway and do a prayer walk around the runway. We've elicited the help of a number of churches in the area. They are super excited to do this. We're going to pray and walk for about an hour from 8 to 9 a.m. After that, we are going to go immediately into an aviation festival. So this is going to be, like Ms. Hall was talking about, a very family-oriented event. Seniors, we're going to give honor to our veterans also. There's going to be live music. Like I mentioned, a bunch of churches in the area are going to come and grace us with praise and worship. We've got some live bands coming as well. Discovery flights from some of our own tenants. For any young people interested in careers in aviation, they'll be able to take those discovery flights if they wish. Bounce house. I have petting zoo on here, but it's really an interactive animal display. I have also secured a total sponsorship from one, well, I like it. I hope everyone likes it, but a very, very good, very delicious restaurant in the area, local to Cleveland. They've decided to sponsor the whole event. All the food is taken care of from them. Snow cones. I did get a dunk tank, and I have some plans for city council with your approval. You know, we have a number of you guys, and anybody who wants to buy a ticket, you know, hopefully we'll get that dunk tank going. I believe that's it. So yeah, as an official puppy here for the city of Cleveland, just wanted to hit the ground running and, you know, officially do our first annual event, put aviation on the map, put Cleveland's airport on the map. So hopefully I am here today to gain your support. Thank you so much.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Do we have to make a motion for that time?
Any action needs to be taken?
So there's no longer a street closure?
No more.
There's no more street closure.
Okay.
The event will take place solely at the airport.
Okay, so we don't have, okay, sounds good. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate that. That's a good way, and I think it's to bring attention to the airport, because a lot of people don't know that airport is out there, and it's a beautiful facility.
Beautiful.
And I said the other day that Governor Abbott flew into our facility, and he really had high compliments, you know, for the Cleveland airport. You know, that made me feel proud. So, thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're gonna. No. Hey, they said city council member. They ain't say nothing about no mayor now.
think he said he made a motion, Mr. Mayor.
No, man, look, I got screws in my neck and back. I'm a bionic man. Yeah, I can't go in that dunk tank, man. Yeah. Okay, item number 15, award RFP for depository and other banking services, Prosperity Bank. Would that be Ms. Pound?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, we did, posted our banking RFP in March, and we only received one, proposal from Prosperity Bank, who is our current depository. And, so there's no one to vote on. I did, there is a mistake on the rating sheet. It says Chuck Morris. Should say Chuck Thompson. It's probably what Julius is laughing at. But, so I hadn't received his scores or Danielle's just yet, but we can go ahead and award to Prosperity because no one else, presented a proposal, so, which is our current depository. And we don't have any issues with them. There was no concern with staying with Prosperity.
Make a motion, we award the RFP for depository and other banking services to Prosperity Bank.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. McWaters, a second by Mr. Buckley. All those in favor? Okay, motion carries 5-0. Okay, item number 16, we're gonna go ahead and cancel that until next month, and we're still soliciting applications. We only have a couple, and, you know, I think that'll be a good idea because we have a lot of pressing issues that we need to take care of tonight. So we're gonna table that. Okay. Item 17, discussion of proposed City of Cleveland Charter amendments. Okay, this is something that's coming up and something that I noticed. You know, I guess we've had so much other stuff going in, you know, in the transition. We really hadn't had a chance to you know, it's kind of late in the ball game that we're really, you know, getting a chance to get on top of this. But I just want this to be a time that, Emilio, you can go over some of the amendments on that issue.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
But beforehand, I've looked at all those amendments, and fiscally, none of those amendments is not going to cost the city of Cleveland anything. You know, that's a charter that's 40 years old, and you know, our charter committee was myself, Brent McWaters, Ms. Desiree, and we had two new residents of Cleveland, Mr. Chuck Thompson. He's a retired banker from, I think it was Louisville, Kentucky, somewhere in the Kentucky area. And he was a real valuable. They had some real good suggestions. And also we had Miss Tanya Clark, and she's retired military, and she's HR director at the school district. And we went over that charter over and over and over, and we looked and tried to figure out what can we do to help us retain city managers, have some consistency and some tenure, you know, with city council, because when you have election every year, you change in council. We've had 5 city managers since 2018, and we're in the process of getting number 6. So that was a lot of the reason that we decided to, you know, we have come up with all kind of solutions on what can we do to help Cleveland, what can we do to move forward. You know, a lot of people, they want the Chili's, they want the Saltgrass, they want the Applebee's, but, you know, we got to clean that charter up. You know, there are some things that, you know, back in the 83 when that charter was written, it was a good charter. But a lot has changed, it's outdated, and we need to go forward.
And as I said, there's nothing on there about that's gonna cost the city of Cleveland any money. And actually, it'll save some money on the cost of elections. But Emilio, I'll let you go. I just want to give,
Sure.
kind of preface.
Yeah, no, thanks for the background and the context, Mayor. In an effort of transparency, for the citizens of Cleveland, I'm going to take this opportunity to highlight the language of the propositions and provide, minimal context just about kind of that came of the discussions and the intent of the Charter Review Committee. So I'll just go through these line by line and then provide some brief context, and we'll move through A through K or L, I believe. So, Proposition A, shall Section 103 of the City Charter related to the extension of boundaries be amended to provide for procedural rules consistent with state law and remove specific local government code references. So the current charter language is inconsistent with state law and the way it references the extension of the city's municipal boundary. And as annexation is a volatile type of topic from legislative session to legislative session, the recommendation here with this proposed charter amendment would to bring the charter into compliance with state law. And so that's the intent behind Proposition A. Moving on to Proposition B, shall the city charter be amended by adding a new section 1.04 to provide for procedures and requirements for disannexation consistent with state law? Current language does not make any reference to or provide any vehicle for disannexation. And so, seeing as how that may be a popular option for some people, some parties, this would provide for an outline of process for disannexation consistent with whatever state law allows. And so that is the intent and context of Proposition B. Moving on to Proposition C, shall Section 3.01 of the City Charter be amended to provide for a new council position 6 to be elected at the regular municipal election to be held on May 2026. Current charter only provides for a mayor and 5 at-large city council positions. So the proposed charter amendment would add an additional city council seat, providing for additional representation on the city council. If the majority of voters were to approve this proposition, this new position would not be filled until the May 2026 election. So that is the extent of Proposition C. Proposition D, shall Section 3.01 subsection B of the city charter be amended to provide that the mayor be entitled to vote on all matters following the regular municipal election held in May of 2026. So,
Had one
yes.
question there.
Yes.
And, yeah, should we look at the language for D? Because, as both C and D are written, and Tommy, correct me if I'm wrong, if the 6th member doesn't pass and Amendment D passes, then we're setting ourselves up for having 3-3. Can we adjust the language to where
No.
one of them,
Not
so
at-
you can't
Not at this
kick
point.
one of them out?
Not at this point. The reason, and this specifically was a change that came up in the meeting, adopting the final one. And ultimately, I've gone back and forth with some folks in my office on tying these things together. The overall consensus is on charter amendments where you're talking about, changing the voting status, adding members of council, you err on the side of caution with respect to subject matter, because you don't, essentially there has to be, every subject matter that's on the ballot needs to be a separate proposition. Sometimes you can group multiple changes into one. Sometimes that means what seems like one change to one section has to be broken out into 2 propositions because they deal with 2 separate subject matters. So that's why these had to be broken out separately. And that's essentially, you could possibly, ultimately, what we went around on was whether you could include language making one thing subject to approval of another proposition, and there isn't a lot of unanimity on this, for what it's worth. But, yeah, that's the risk, although I don't know that there's really a practical effect, because currently, the mayor would vote in case of a 3-3 tie. So in a way, it flips that. So it would be it would cause issues where the mayor could vote to cause a 3-3 tie. So I don't know that it's necessarily I don't think it's a significant issue.
Okay.
But
Just had to ask.
And apologies, I should have said before, I'm kind of breezing through these. If y'all want to provide more context, or if Tommy wants to elaborate on some of the substantive intent, y'all can do so at any time. Did I get through D? Okay. Proposition E, shall the city charter be amended by adding a new section 3.01 subsection C and section 3.01 subsection D to increase the terms of office for the mayor and city council members from 2 to 3 years, commencing with the officers elected at the regular municipal election held in May of 2025. Current charter language limits the mayor and council members to terms of 2 years. So with the proposed charter amendment, that would increase the mayor and council member terms to 3 years. If a majority of the voters were to approve this proposition, that change would take effect following this May 2025 election for the mayor and council members 1 and 2. And again, if this were to be approved, it would then take effect for council members 3, 4, 5, and 6 at the 2026 May election, following that election. Any questions or concerns? Moving on to Proposition F, shall section 3.04 of the city charter be amended to correct non-substantive issues by removing outdated dollar amounts related to mayor and council member salaries. So the current charter language references set dollar amounts for the mayor and council member salaries, and references that these amounts can be changed by ordinance. This proposed amendment would remove the dollar amount references, but still retain the language that states that these salaries can be amended via ordinance, and also retains that increases shall not take effect during the current term of council members enacting such ordinance. So any of y'all voting for that ordinance to increase the salaries cannot benefit from that increase until your term expires. And
Can you repeat that?
yes, so if the proposition was to be approved, and at some point the city council was seated at the time were to vote on an ordinance that would amend the salaries and increase them for the city council, they cannot benefit at all from those increases.
Okay.
And I think it's worth noting here, because I've had people ask me, we're not changing, this vote is not making a pathway to vote for a change. The authorization for change has always been there by ordinance.
And it still is.
This is just cleaning up the language of kind of some de facto amounts that are already in there. It doesn't really change the policy. It's some language cleanup.
It's kind of comical. You know, people say that we get paid all this money. You know, anybody that's serving, you know, on this council or school board, I mean, it's basically volunteer. You know, I call it a stipend, and read the charter and it'll tell you how much that stipend is. And I don't think that, I don't really just think that could be a significance. Anybody that's sitting here in our lifetime, you know, that stipend probably not gonna change. So it's really no significance to it. But when I hear people saying that we trying to give ourselves raises, no, but do we want to be 10 years from now with a 50-year-old charter with the same outdated language on it? I mean, but I get so many people that they won't change in Cleveland. You know, you have to you have to do some cleaning up on this. You know, and also the alcohol ordinance, you know, we couldn't put that on there now, but it's a lot of things that this sets us up to do. We want the Chili's, you know, we want the Chick-fil-A. But we got to get this cleaned up before we can make ourselves attracted to these businesses. You know, so that's what these charter amendments are for. And I read stuff, it's like some type of conspiracy or something. It's not going to cost the city of Cleveland any money, none of this. Actually, we'll save money, you know, $12,000 every year that we don't have an election. So.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question on F that a resident asked. If the amount is removed, if this were to pass and it was set by ordinance, they asked what amount would be set by ordinance, and then would that ordinance have to be approved by voters or not? Like, would voters have a chance to approve any potential change if the current amounts are removed from the language?
I'll defer to Tommy on this.
Yeah, so the current, and I'm going to back up a little bit. Every time a charter is enacted, there's always the general rule that's put in there, and then there's what's called transition language to handle what the rule is until everything gets up and running. And a lot of times you'll see specific dollar amounts put in there, and then, of course, the general rule being city council can set it by ordinance for future city council members. So it doesn't apply to the current term. This is essentially just removing what's called the transition language, the rule that's in place other than the general rule. So whether the 300 or 600 is in there, it doesn't change anything in terms of what city council would approve by ordinance. But city council's ability to increase or decrease its own salaries is limited to essentially the position. You can give your position an increase or decrease in salary, but you can't give yourself an increase or decrease in salary. So for that increase to apply to the person that's currently sitting in the position, they would have to win the next election for that position. So it doesn't apply until the next term of office comes through. That's the most complicated way I could think of to explain it.
Well, I guess to answer your question more directly, the public's, democratically, I mean, it would be they elect you. You have to consciously weigh whether this is the right thing to vote on or not. I don't think it would be taken to the public in some referendum to raise that or not.
That was the specific question from the person in the community who thought that any future amounts, if it changed, would have to go to voters for approval. But it would not have to go to voters. It would be set by ordinance through the council for the next council, whoever was elected. I understand, like, it's not for yourself, it's for the seat in the future. But it would not go back to voters for an amount, is the specific question.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Under the current language or the changed language.
Okay.
Looking at Proposition G, shall Section 3.08 of the city charter be amended to remove newspaper publication requirements for alternate meeting locations where allowed by state law? So the current charter language references a process for designating alternate meeting locations of city council meetings with the requirement to publish that in the newspaper. What's proposed with this charter amendment language would be to provide that noticing requirements for council meetings be consistent with that of state law and the Open Meetings Act, which already require you to provide notice to the public of where the meeting is to be held. It does not provide that you necessarily publish that in a newspaper. If there were public hearing requirements that were required noticing in a publication of circulation in the city, that publication would have to reference the location of the meeting. So there's already that meeting and certain public hearing requirements. We're just suggesting taking that out of the charter and just making it compliant with state law and the Open Meetings Act. Moving on to Proposition H, shall Section 3.07A and 3.07B and A01C and 4.02 of the city charter be amended to clarify inconsistencies and match actual practices in defining the roles of city council and the city manager. There's a lot of context here. I don't want to muddy up the slide with a bunch of word soup, but in essence, this is kind of removing a gray area, I would say, between the powers of the council versus that of the city manager. I don't know if Tommy had a better way to contextualize that. I could read the language if you'd like.
Yeah, just give me 1 second. So there's some references throughout the, I wouldn't say throughout, in a few different places of the charter where it says that, you know, it refers to the city council appointment. And generally, I think what was probably intended for the charter is, you know, appointment of boards and commissions and things like that. But the way the language is, this essentially cleans up what could be perceived as an inconsistency in terms of appointing board members versus, you know, appointing or hiring employees, and kind of make sure to clarify the line between running the day-to-day operations of the city, essentially, and overseeing the structure of city government, that's city council's authority.
And I do have a question on this one. Again, somebody reached out to me today. They said they are confused by all of H when they looked online and wanted to know if something could be added to show what's currently existing next to what's being proposed on the website, because they felt like this was very unclear when they tried to go in and learn more about it. Like, they want to know the exact language that's inconsistent, was the feedback that I received today.
Okay. We can attempt to make those edits to the webpage, which I'll reference where to find that information at the end.
And the order of election has the red line changes to the charter in it that shows exactly what the changes are being. And looking through it, just kind of as a quick summary, you know, it removes, remove from any position of employment in the city government, any officer or employee. Essentially what I was getting at, it's kind of making sure we're clear that the handling of employment matters falls under the umbrella of the city manager, whereas, you know, the appointment of city officials would fall under the job of city council.
Does that include the hiring of the city manager, him or herself? Is that the language also? I'm sorry, I'm not looking at the red line. I just have the amendments.
Say that again?
You said the hiring would fall under the city manager and operate day-to-day operations, and board appointments would fall under city council.
Yes.
In our current charter, I know that there's the hiring, like we just did on Friday, with the board hires the city manager. So is that part of the language or part of the change, or just specific to the employment of the city manager?
No, it's just specific to the duties of the city manager.
Okay.
Clarifying that essentially, you know, employment decisions fall under the umbrella of the city manager, whereas the language in the charter that talks about appointments by city council is for, you know, appointment. There are certain officers that need to be appointed by city council. City manager, of course, being one of them. And that appointment of city officials essentially is the job of city council, but the employment of city employees is, those issues are the job of the city manager.
And I would imagine that this is remnants of the transition from general law to
That's
home
exactly
rule.
right.
And our voters will be able to see the red line online? The red line changes is what you mentioned? Okay, great, thank you.
Looking at Proposition I, shall Section 4.0C6 of the city charter be amended to authorize the city council to waive the city manager's residency requirement if approved by a 2/3 vote of the city council. So the current language limits the residency requirement for the city manager to the city. The proposed amendment would allow the council to waive the residency requirement for the city manager by a 2/3 vote, majority vote of the city council. I guess assumably to assist with some retention efforts or recruitment efforts.
Yes, on that one. It's very hard to get a city manager, a new city manager, to move to Cleveland, buy a house, pay taxes, and every year you got an election. You buy a house, move your family, then you get a new council in. That's something you're looking at every year. And the issue has been, we'll get a good city manager, really loves it here, but that doesn't give him many options. Won elections, and he can be out. And it's not just us. I mean, it's like that in a lot of cities. I mean, but then again, a lot of cities do it different. But it's obvious that this is not working for Cleveland. It's just not. I mean, look at the turnover rate, of city manager. Look at the turnover rate of council. We constantly have problems completing projects on time. We'll start a project, have an election, drop the project, have another election. Okay, we'll start it again. And you can just look at what we had to go through in the construction of the fire station, the construction of the evidence room. I mean, that took so long because we constantly change councils. And you can look at the city pool was closed in 2014. We spent money on that in 2018, 2019. We spent $260,000 on a splash pad because we constantly, changing. And it's really this is just my opinion. This is just not working. It's just not. But it's up to the taxpayers of Cleveland. If they choose that we continue to do it like this, as servants, we'll have to serve under the present charter. But we just want to put it out there, and we want to make this information available to them. And if it's something that they don't understand, they can contact any of us, yourself, and we'll get them that information. So,
Yes, sir.
okay.
Looking at Proposition J, shall Section 6.02 of the city charter be amended to provide that the city manager shall prepare and file the budget in accordance with state law and remove duplicative and outdated provisions listing specific requirements. So the current language of the charter is very specific on the content and format of the city budget and offers limited room for flexibility, innovation, and incorporating emerging governmental accounting practices. So this proposed amendment would look to allow the city manager to prepare and file the budget in accordance with state law and still deliver and be transparent with financial and fiscal data of the city, but in a more robust format, honestly, than what's laid out in the charter. So I don't know if Pam or Tommy or anyone else wanted to elaborate on that item.
You want me to? So essentially the language on this section contains a lot of requirements that are, this isn't a change for convenience. This is a change because it is practically impossible to meet the requirements for the budget as set up in the charter, given all the new requirements under state law. The city doesn't even get its appraised rolls until July 25th, which I think is in the charter beyond the deadline of when it says the city, no one can satisfy the requirements of the charter under what's currently required under state law. So what this does is simplifies it, lines it up with the current requirements of state law, and of course, it doesn't restrict in any way council's ability to say, we'd like to see this in our budget. They can always explicitly require those things to be in the budget or the presentation or anything like that. What this does is just clarify that when you do the budget, you do the budget in accordance with state law, because ultimately that's really what counts when it comes to passing a budget.
Right. Excellent. Looking on a Proposition K, shall Section 8.05 of the city charter be amended to provide 2 alternates on the Charter Review Commission and remove outdated year references? So the current context is that the language references very specific dates and sequential dates thereafter. So this proposed amendment would remove specific date references and provide for the 2 alternates. I think that one's pretty straightforward. And then Proposition L, quite a lengthy one. Shall the city charter be amended to make non-substantive revisions to Section 1.02 to add Montgomery and San Jacinto counties to the description of boundaries for the city, Section 2.02 to replace an outdated reference to the revised civil statutes for the state of Texas of 1925 with the constituting and laws of the state of Texas, Section 3.02 to conform with the state and federal law by removing references concerning indebtedness to the city being a disqualification for eligibility for office, and correct language inconsistencies, Section 3.05 to clarify the annual delivery of the state of the city address rather than within the first quarter of the calendar year, and Section 3.07P to remove outdated references to the inspection of dairies, dairies, slaughter pens, and slaughterhouses. These are non-substantive changes to the city charter that would bring the city into greater compliance with state law. And that's the reason that they're proposed and the context behind them. Did just want to highlight at a high level how we are providing this information to the public. It's available on our website under the umbrella of the City Secretary's Office and their web pages, a subpage called May 2025 Ballot Propositions. That messaging is also being carried across social media, starting with the post today, and that engagement will carry out week to week until we hit May 3rd, Election Day. Juanita will be participating in a video reel to kind of explain how to view and access this information and just highlight some more resources for Election Day. So with that, that concludes our presentation.
Okay, Emilio, is that all you have? Okay, I failed to announce this earlier, but on May the 22nd, April the 22nd, I'm sorry, that'll be next Tuesday. It'll be a political forum with the council, which the council and mayor positions are uncontested, but we do have those 14 charter amendments, and we're going to have a forum, and the council members will be there to answer questions, and explain any issue that, that'll come up. But we just want to put it out there and inform the people. We are trying to promote change in Cleveland. I mean, none of this is not going to cost us anything, really. We're just trying to clean this up. And also, the school board candidates will be there. So if you're not doing nothing, come out. That'll be next Tuesday, the 22nd. And, just gather all the information you can. I think it starts at 6. So this will be a good opportunity to come out and, I just want to make everybody aware of these charter amendments. And I think going forward, it can, be a big help to what we're trying to do. So, okay. And also voting information, it starts April the 22nd, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., 22nd through 25th, April 27th, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and April 27th, 1 p.m. to 7 p.m., April 28th, 29th, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Voting day, which that's always at the Civic Center here in Cleveland, May 3rd, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So, but if anyone has any questions, you can always check with the city website or you can contact City Hall, and, if we don't have the information that you need, we'll get it for you. So, with that being said, that's all the discussion we have tonight, so we're gonna convene to executive session. City Council reserves the right to adjourn into executive session at any time during this meeting to discuss any item on the agenda as authorized, 551 of State Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act. City Council will meet in executive sessions for the following purposes. Section 551074, personnel matters, city manager, discussion on the appointment, employment, evaluations, or duties of a city manager. So we will go into executive session at 7:18. we're gonna go back, go ahead and adjourn, with no action taken tonight. That'll be
8:28.
8:28. Okay, Juanita,